Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach weekly coaching call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific, we're here live to connect as a community of like-minded mortgage professionals to learn the ideas and strategies that are working best in the street, in the trenches, right here, right now, in today's marketplace. Not last year's marketplace, but right now, and to get focused on the week ahead. My name is Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach. It's good to be back to these coaching calls. I think it's been 5 weeks. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks since I have been hosting this call. It's been amazing to have Tim Brahim, our own president, Joe Patur. A couple of those were planned, where I had planned to have Tim come in and host a call, and then a few of them were unplanned. I've just been traveling a lot, and so some of those absentees on my part were unplanned. But hopefully the value that you all got in those calls was great, and all I can say is it's good to be back. So again, I want to remind everybody, if you want to raise your hand during the call, if you are brand new, if this is the first Mortgage Coach coaching call that you've been on, please raise your hand right now. You see where that number 1 is? Just want to get a feel for anybody that's new to the Mortgage Coach community. So Brink, Troy, welcome to the call. Charmaine, welcome to the call. Looks like we've got 3 new folks on the call. We'll deliver some value for you. You also now know, the 3 of you, when we do Q&A, if you raise your hand, I can unmute you and you can ask a question of the host. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put your hands down for now. The number 2, where the comment section is, that's more for shout-outs. I rarely get to those questions. But if you do have a question, feel free to put it there. Just know I'll read it. I usually only raise hands to bring questions into the call today. All right, so let's go over the agenda real quick. I'm going to go through about 5 to 10 minutes of opening thoughts. I'm going to bring in a mortgage coach, Dan Frio. I'm going to do a better introduction of Dan in just a minute here. But, I mean, he's not just a mortgage coach. This is a guy who's done like over 500 total cost analysis. So he's a real power user of our solutions, a very successful loan officer in his marketplace, and a radio show host, which I found out today. So it's going to be great to have Dan in the call. Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
Good. And then we also have a special guest. I have not had Allyson for a long time. I have so dearly missed her. Allyson, she's been in the community multiple times, just a great expert on time management, life management, integrating those two. She's an incredibly successful financial advisor in her own right. And Allyson, it's great to have you on the call today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Good. So just set expectation for everybody. Dan, by about 9:15, you'll be in, and Allyson, by around 9:30, you'll be into the conversation. And for everybody on today's call, we're going to pretty much use up all of an hour. We might finish a little early, but sit back and be ready for, looks like 55 minutes of value and insight. So let's start with my opening thoughts. I've got a few slides here from the mastermind show that I was at in Vegas last week. I don't know if anybody was at last week's mastermind in Las Vegas. Please raise your hand. Would like to just get a feel for how many people were there. So this is from a presentation that I semi-gave. That's a whole other story in itself. But I talked about this WOW platform. So far it looks like there were a few people there. Or y'all, it's too early and you're just not raising your hands yet. Come on, one last minute push. How many of you were there? Couldn't have just been 3 or 4. We had to have more people there. All right. So what is the WOW platform? It's everything we do from the first impression. When you really think of the WOW platform, it starts with what's the borrower's first impression. It's our website. It's our email. It's everything we do in that marketing ecosystem to get a loan, to get a borrower to talk to. Then there's the rate quote, where there's some selling that takes place between the loan officer and the borrower. And then there's the back end, where we actually fund the loan, we process it, we do everything that we do from a compliance perspective. And then there's servicing, loyalty, and retention. call it whatever word you want. Number 4, that's the WOW platform. And again, before I took my little leave of absence for 5 weeks, I was talking about this a lot. We're going to keep talking about it because this WOW platform and executing this WOW platform at a very high level, it's the key to success. If you're closing 8 loans and you want to go to 20 loans, you've got to adjust how you're executing on the WOW platform. If you're closing less than 8 loans consistently, which is the majority of the folks on this call, it's real easy. It's real simple. Well, wait, I take that back. It's very simple what you need to do to improve your success. It's not so easy. So we're going to talk about what you need to do. So think about it. A lot has changed over the past 20 years when we think of technology and we think of the WOW platform. So 20 years ago, this is what the telephone looked like. You know, anybody have one of these? Allyson, you've been in this business for a while. And Dan, I don't know how old you are, but do you guys remember the old cell phones? I know I do.
Yep.
I think I had that one right there in the picture too. So a lot has changed, and we have never had better telephone system. You know, again, whether you have an iPhone, whether you have an Android, hopefully you've got a smartphone. And when you think of the computer and the keyboard, a lot has changed. Again, I'm dating myself here, but when I started the business, we still did 1003s with a typewriter. I mean, I didn't, but that's what the processor did. And then we got the computer, and now we got the bomb computer. We've got just this lean, mean computer that goes everywhere with us. So a lot's changed. We as loan officers have never had it so good in terms of having technology to power the WOW platform. So the other point I want to make is when you look at that WOW platform, I think some of those touch points are more valuable than others, and that rate quote is more valuable, because if you really handle that rate quote right, if you really nail that rate quote, you're going to get more referrals while the loan's in process. Plus, you're going to have more forgiveness from the client. So let's say an appraisal comes in wrong, or income, they're not accepting all the income, or rates go up. You know how it is in real estate deals. Things happen. If you do the rate quote right, it's gonna go smoother. It's gonna go better. So we're gonna focus on that today. Part of that in this conversation. Again, y'all on this call, you're all mortgage coach users. So I'm gonna assume no one's using the yellow pad, unless it's just for personal note-taking purposes. And everybody is presenting with the total cost edge report. So I told you, we're going to focus on just a few things, and what are the key elements to the WOW platform. First and foremost, question for everybody is, are you getting enough phone time? And what's enough? I can just tell you this. If you want to close north of 8 loans a month, the closer to 4 hours, the closer to half your time you are on the phone, or you're face-to-face with a client, you're either prospecting, you're selling, or you're servicing a client, the closer to 4 hours, the better. And Dan, be prepared to tell us where you're at in terms of phone time that you get in. The other one, we're not going to talk about it a lot today, which is your LOS. I have yet to talk to a really successful loan officer that doesn't turn in a good app. They may have an assistant that does it, so they may not personally do it, but they've got a system to make sure they're nailing the LOS. So that part of the WOW platform, they're nailing it. And again, the more loans you do, the more important this is. But again, if you're closing 3 loans a month, chances are you're not getting enough phone time, you're not turning in great apps, and you are not doing a great job with your CRM. Again, we're not going to spend today on CRM and LOS. We're going to focus on phone time, number 1. How do you execute what you need to hit your game plan? And using Edge with every borrower. Where do you rate? So those are going to be the 2 areas of focus for today. So Allyson, if you could, I know your content and really focusing on high-value activity, if you could make those 2 items, take just like a mental picture of those, Allyson, and those are going to be the 2 high-value activities that we want to drive more of to everybody in today's call.
Got it.
Allyson, did you get that?
Got it.
Cool. So with that said, Dan, I hope I'm on schedule. Let me see. Oh, I'm ahead of schedule. It's 9:11. I'm going to bring you into the conversation. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what market you're in, how long have you been in the business, and a little bit about your production levels.
Sure. I am located in Geneva, Illinois. I've been in the business since 1990, so I'm kind of an old-timer. Keep plugging it away. Every morning I wake up and say, why am I still doing this for a living? I don't know. But my background is I went from originating with a brand new startup company, became vice president of that company, then moved to Accredited, which anybody who's done subprime might have heard of them. They were based in California. I was a national sales manager there. And then about 4 years ago, I branched out on my own, or net branching for a company. And it got to the point where, you know, business, in anybody who might be a manager on this call or so forth, it got to the point where, you know, I was doing probably 80% of the production in the office, plus overseeing everything, paying the bills, doing payroll, all this other stuff. So I decided to kind of pull the plug on that, and I partnered up with two buddies of mine who we've all been doing this for over 20 years. And there's just the three of us, and we're cranking. It's kind of nice. We all have a vested interest in this, and that's kind of my life story on how where I got to today. Again, I've been doing this since 1990, so quite a long time.
Yeah. So total of how many years is that? 24 years.
Yeah.
And then when you think about it, how many loans do you average closing a month right now?
Well, probably between 10 and 15. On average. A lot of it, the pipeline keeps building right now. I think my pipeline right now is about right around 50. We use some of the investors we have right now that they're 60 days out. So at some point when everything's kind of caught up, there'll be a couple months in there that should go boom. But yeah, the thing is, I just try to keep the pipeline as full as I can, 20 to 30 loans minimally. Learned that years ago because you can expect, especially in this market, if you're not getting, you don't have a HARP loan with a PIW, the property inspection waiver, you're throwing dice to see if that loan's going to close or not. So I always factored in a 50% closing ratio just based on stuff, meaning a person lost his job, they bought something else, the appraisal doesn't come in, you have title issues, something. So I just use a 50% closing ratio. So to close 10 loans a month, I need 20 to 30 in my pipe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Learned that years ago. Don't be content if you have 5 loans in your pipe and you want to close 3 loans a month or 4 loans a month. I mean, you're kidding yourself if you're going to think you're going to close 100% or even 80% or 75% in this market. Yeah,
no doubt. And in different markets, the percentages were better, but not now. So another, I think, interesting thing, and I don't want to assume something, so just tell me if I'm right about this, but it really sounds like you had to reinvent yourself 4 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you look at the loans in your pipeline, while you've done this 25 years, it's that was kind of the base of who you are and your knowledge. But you have built the practice that you have right now really probably over the past 3 years.
Absolutely.
So you've gone from 0 to 10 to 15 loans a month in 3 years. I mean, is that accurate?
That's right on the button, because prior to that I was always in management. I was an originator since probably didn't originate a loan from 1994 through 2008. So, when I got into this market, the frustrating thing for me was I had loan officers when I opened up in 2007, 2008. I hired a bunch of loan officers in, and they've originated their whole life. And you get them in, and, we went through a time where it was a kind of the world end with, underwriting and stuff like that. But rates were, low. They had a database, or should have had a database, to fall back on, where I didn't have anybody. I was just starting from scratch. I had no clientele, so I just started having to start all over again from management to the sales side of things. And that was the most frustrating thing, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to shut my branch or my company, because loan officers, I hope nobody's on the line that was with me prior to, but I would close 10, 15 loans a month, and they would close 1 or 2. And again, they should have had a huge database saved up over the time that they've been originating. So that was the frustrating part. So your system, I was introduced to that about 3 years ago, and I used Analyzer as a monthly billing. Well, I always told the clients that every month you're going to get your mortgage statement in the mail, and you're also going to get a statement from me showing you, your current loan versus what today's loan would look like with today's rates. So every month I would send out I called it their mortgage statement from me, so that I would be in their face every month.
Nice, nice.
So
Well,
I'll feed off of your questions. So
no. Again, part of what we want to do here is we want to understand what you do and how we do it. I just always on the call, one of my goals as a coach and mentor on these coaching calls is to get everybody over 8 loans a month. Okay. And, it starts with beliefs. Here's a guy that did it. Believe that you can, and now what do you need to do to execute to do it? So in the context of the WOW platform, and this is my message to everybody on the call, and again, I'm going to repeat myself today. I'm going to repeat myself in multiple calls because this is the truth and this is the path. If you get enough phone time, if you turn in a great app, if you use your CRM, whatever that is, your CRM could be Gmail, it could be Outlook, and then again, it can also be the Mercedes-Benz of our industry. It can be Mortgage Planner Pro. And if you use Edge with every client, these 4 things, and you do them at a level of 8 or higher, you're going to close over 10 loans a month. So Dan, let's do a quick pulse check on where you're at. In terms of phone time, what do you average in, and when I say phone time, I'm also meaning face-to-face with a client. So in terms of, the real answer is relationship time. Between being on the phone and being in front of a client, how much of your day are you doing that?
A lot.
More than 4 hours?
Yeah, well, you know what? I look at this business as 24 hours a day. Here's kind of my schedule. My schedule for today was, and I'll just give you just an idea of today. I do a radio show, so I had a radio schedule set up for this morning from 9 to 10. Then I was going to actually use a computer at that location to delve into this. Then I do live reads on the radio. I'm the mortgage expert on this one particular radio station. It's a 3-minute read each day, and then I have a Saturday show. So that coupled with, I join organizations. I put on a class at Harper College, the mortgage relief class. I try to get into churches. I'm constantly doing something. Yesterday I met with a financial planner in the morning, came in, had a client come in, so forth. So I never say, a lot of times it's, okay, I market from 10 to 2. I look at our job is right now, you don't have to sell a client on a rate. I just took an application already this morning. The lady's at 5.625. She took it out 6 years ago. And we'll show you here briefly in a minute one of the Edge reports I put together. But, you don't have to, I don't look at our job right now as selling. Our job today is marketing and educating people. I know I'm kind of getting off on a tangent on my phone time, but phone times, I'm answering the phone at 9 o'clock at night if somebody calls me. I've used Facebook, I use LinkedIn, I use every tool imaginable. So if you're struggling in today's market, you might want to look at a different career because, with the HARP program that eliminates almost 90% of the appraisals needed, and rates at 4%, making you, 2 yield or 2.5 yield, our job right in today's market, you're not selling, you're marketing. You just got to get out there and get your name, out there and educate people why they should use, why they should refinance and why use you.
Yeah. So again, the point is there are loan officers, and usually when they're not hitting their production goals, it's because they're only out there 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day. They're not connecting. Call it relationship time, calling it education, call it selling, call it what you have. It's connecting with clients. So just hearing your day, you're an 8 or a 9. when it comes to the first one. Now, in terms of your LOS, turning in great loan apps, just really quickly, do you turn in good apps?
Yeah, it could be better, honestly.
Where do you rate on a scale of 1 to 10?
I get better daily. Why I join these guys the main reason is I can get clients. My problem is like I have 6 appointments today, so it's hard to be meticulous about the application part. But my wife, she's a great help. She comes in every day for 4 hours and helps me prepare packages and so forth. So daily I get better at that. Mainly it's right now it's the volume that's hard to keep up with. So
right.
Normally,
well, and you could probably go to north of whatever you're at if you improved in that area.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's really the point here is when you look at these 4 things, until you and the message I try to give is until you're executing in an 8 in these 4 items, forget about everything else. These are the only 4 things, or not the only, the core 4 things that matter. Where are you at from a CRM perspective? What do you use, and how would you rate yourself in terms of managing your time and managing your contacts?
This isn't I'm not saying this because I'm on this show today. I use you guys between Edge and Analyzer. That's my life. I don't know if you want me to sequence into it yet, but I use Edge on every refinance customer I got, no matter what.
So number 2, you got that nailed. And how many do you think? Well, I know it's over 500, but how many Edge TCAs do you think you've done?
Oh, I've done hundreds.
Yeah.
I've done. I do 2, 3, 4 a day.
Okay. So let's do transition into that because I want to bring Allyson in about 7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the screen, and if you could walk us through how you're using Edge. Every time I see a loan officer go through Edge, I learn something new. So you should have the screen at this point. Just grab it. I'll tell you when we see it on our end.
I don't know which screen you're on. I got 2.
I see the blank screen at this point.
Okay, hold on. Let me move it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Got it?
Yeah, we're seeing it. It's coming in. There it is. Okay, we can see it. Oh wait, it's moving. It's moving over to the. There you go, right there, center stage.
Okay. Mainly, this is actually one that I have posted on my website, and this is by no means a stretch on an applicant. So I think you can probably see the screens that I'm going through.
Yeah, we can.
I'm in the Chicagoland market, so fortunately our loan amounts are pretty good. Probably my average is 180 to 200,000. So I mean, I'll scroll through here and show you what I put in on this one, but this is probably an average, or this might theoretically be an actual client that I had. But what I listed it as at the beginning is you can see right here is Heart 2. Right. So on my website I have a Heart 2 tab, and it actually it flows through this system. So I just plug in the data. I mean, this system is, anybody can do this. I can have my 13-year-old girl come in and pump out a few of these a day. I do the videos that I've done so many, I just kind of, I hate to say it this way, but I wing it. But
how long are your videos typically?
You know what, probably 2 minutes.
Okay. Which, by the way, is a best practice. 1 to 2 minutes is what we recommend.
I'll show you one here in a second. I think we can get to that point.
Hey, by the way, hey, real quick before you, will you go to the next screen? Are you using the new cost manager that we created? I don't know the details.
No, you know what? I don't, to be honest with you.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm just being honest. Because that one's tough because a lot of times is with your lender credits and so forth. Probably, again, when you have a $200,000 loan, if you get a half of a yield back in credits from the lender, that most of the deals we do are under $500 in cost to the client.
Right.
So I usually, when I'm going through, I put it as a part of my video I break down what the costs are going to be, and what here's their gross costs, and then after credits, here's your net costs. So that's kind of how, because everyone is so different, I try to make it customized in my video to that client.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
So I just hate to generically.
Yeah, just keep flowing through it.
This is what's going to set you off or set you above. Honestly, I hope people in Illinois, I hope you're not using this, because if I send this to a client and you just call them and go through the numbers, and our program that we're giving them or the package we're giving them is pretty similar, I guarantee they're going to call me back. I'm not trying to sound smart or arrogant about it, but it's when you see these presentations, if you're not using them, you're crazy. You can. I'll get to the point of the video. So do you want me to explain each tab?
Yeah,
or
just kind of walk it through us. Explain real quick from a bar's perspective. You got about 3 or 4 more minutes.
Okay,
so
I apologize.
Feel free
I'll try to
do
go
that.
through this. I'll go through this quick. You put in their current information. Try to get as close to the data as you can. Just call the client, and if they're vague about it, when you pull their credit, you're going to get all this data. You can back in numbers. They'll tell you what their principal and interest payment was, or so forth. So you can actually back in numbers to figure out, get their rate for sure. The credit report's going to tell you their loan, when it closed, their high loan credit, and so forth. So you go through, you plug in their data, and then you go in and get your rate quotes for the day of where this person would fit. This one, as you can see, I'm just doing I put in a 30-year refinance for HARP, so they know they're going with the HARP program. So if I ever reference that, hit yes, is this a refinance? Yes, it populates this number here. Plug in today's rate, term. Click it next, and as you move through, your payments are going to be, here's their current payment, here is their new payment at that term, and here's their payment if you did a lower termed or shorter term loan. So you can see on this one, they can pay virtually the same payment on what they have now versus a 20-year. So when you scroll through a couple more, it'll show you your savings right here. And again, this was a true client. If you refinanced just with today's rates back to a 30-year, because a lot of clients might say, well, I don't want to go back to a 30-year. You can say, well, your payment's going to go down $293 a month. Even though you're going backwards, you're saving almost $60,000 in interest. Or if you want to pay the same payment that you're paying now or pretty close to it, this one is your payment is $62 less than you're paying now, and you'll save $121,000 in interest. And then when you keep clicking through, it'll give you freedom points, which mean what point the loans will be paid off, and so forth. So that's kind of it. And then the video, I don't know if we got time for the video, but we can do that, or if you want or not.
Yeah, just go ahead. And here's what I think would be great is number one, if you'd be willing to post a link to that so people can get a feeling for what your video looks like online.
Absolutely. Okay.
So I think that would be best. So if you could post it on Facebook page.
Sure.
And also you mentioned your website a few times. So I would love for people to get a feel for what your online experience looks like. So if you could give everybody go to the Mortgage Coach Facebook page. So facebook.com/mortgage coach, and post a link to your website and to this report, and then everybody can just get a feel for what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Okay, perfect. And I'll post my website on there too, so you can see how it interacted with that and so forth.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and take the screen back, and Dan, we're gonna bring Allyson in just a minute, but I hope you can stay on the call and kind of think of yourself as now a co-host. You've gone from being a guest to now, on behalf of the Mortgage Coach community and other loan officers, feel free to ask Allyson questions, or if you want to kind of just add some, reaffirmation to something she says, feel free to do it.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, cool. So one last point before we move off Dan. He made this point that I hope other loan officers in my market aren't using this. And why did he say that? Because you know what? This loan business is brutal. Someone wins and someone loses. That's just the way it is in the business. And by the way, usually it's not someone wins and someone loses. It's someone wins the loan and multiple people are on the ground. They lose the loan. So that competitive edge at the point of sale, it's critical, not only from a win-loss ratio, but also from a referral basis. So one of the things we're going to bring Allyson in, and the big idea here is, Allyson is just, she's amazing. Her content is extraordinary when it comes to time management. And I think it's more than time management, it's life management. Her tools include how much water did you drink, so it's making sure that you have the energy, making sure that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis aligns with your values, your lifetime goals, making sure that it aligns with what you love to do on a day-to-day basis. So she's really thought it through in a very, very strategic level and a very, very tactical level. So again, Allyson has become a friend of mine over the years. I really appreciate her taking time to join the community. I can't say enough how much I recommend that y'all purchase her book. The 7-Minute Solution is truly an amazing book. I'll provide a link to it in the Mortgage Coach Facebook page as she's talking here in a minute. But you can go to Amazon. I'll provide a link, but go get it. Make sure you read it. Make sure you go to her website. Make sure that you really embrace her concepts and her strategies as she's going to share them in just a minute. Make sure you're reading her blog. When you go to her website, her blog is a tremendous source of content to help you be more organized with your days. Make sure you like her on Facebook. She's got a great Facebook page that's always delivering value and insight. So with that said, Allyson, I'm going to bring you to the Mortgage Coach community. I'm going to share the desktop, and if you can, take the stage and tell us how we can, do better.
Well, I'm delighted to be here today. It is always a pleasure to be with my friend Dave Savage, and there's so many things that happen. It is one of those things when you're in sales that time is probably our biggest commodity. We have to have prospects, but we have to have the right amount of time to talk to them. So our newest concept is called time strategies, because not only do we have to have time to talk to them, but I think we have to be very strategic about what we do. And I know, Dave, that the tools that you offer are very strategic, but it was incredibly exciting to hear what Dan did, because I felt like he had a strategy that he repeated over and over and over again. And in our 7-minute concepts, that's what we've done, is we want to help people prioritize, organize, and simplify what they do at work so that they're doing it effectively over and over again, and it absolutely amplifies into something that is incredibly successful. But people in sales, what I see as a coach and as a consultant is I see people that live in constant chaos, and as you look at those first set of dots, that is what we see, is that people come into their office, they think they have 20 things they want to accomplish, they get in their car, they buckle their seatbelt, and they come in all charged up to do the right things, but when they sit down at their desk or they go out to meet that first prospective client, all of a sudden the world comes rushing in at them. It's like a fire drill, and they look up at their watch. It's 5 o'clock at the afternoon, and they realize they've gotten nothing done. So we want to help them prioritize things that they'll actually do, where they take action, where they commit to the action that they'll take, and they do what they say they'll do. But I think what your company has done is that they've organized these processes into a fashion that can help people really come in to just 2 or 3 things that they need to do to be successful. And that's why we've wanted to be on your calls, because we feel like you've helped simplify the process. So today we're only going to be talking about 2 or 3 really key issues. The first one is going to be time and limited capacity. The first thing that I have to understand, I've been in sales, it'll be 30 years, and I hate to admit that, but I'll celebrate my 30th anniversary in sales in the financial services industry in September. 30 years now. I was 22 when I started. I'll be 52 in about 4 weeks. So I'm pretty excited about what I do. But I realize that if I'm going to be successful in sales, then every day I have a very limited capacity of hours that I can sell in. And so I want to make sure that my time is spent really focusing on things that matter. I want to have less distraction. And when I come in, I want to use things where I'm completely committed to complete concentration on the task at hand. One of the things I want your listeners to realize is that we have only so many minutes a day, and we waste a lot of those minutes. But typically we have between 8 and 10 hours a day. We have 7 days a week. I only want to work 5 of those because I have a family. I really want to create balance in my life. We only have so many weeks a year. How many weeks do you take for vacation? So you might have 50 weeks to work. You might have, 48 weeks to work. It's interesting. But one of the things that if you're listening to this call, I really want you to pay attention to is that I like to work in 90-day segments. So that 90-day, we're going to come back to that. And then you have your entire life. So those are the segments of capacity that we have. Well, what does that have to do with selling? Well, this was the week of April 15th. As you look at your calendar, whether you use Outlook or whether you use Google or whatever Outlook calendar you look at, how many productive hours are you going to have in a day's time? And in my industry, I think that most people really only work about 20 hours a week. In fact, I would be surprised that people really worked 10 hours a week, because my definition of work is when you're really sitting down talking to a person face-to-face, or you have them on the phone and you're actually selling them or servicing them in a way that is going to help them do a transaction with you. So how much of your time, if you were to actually script out your day, would you like to work? And then how many hours do you actually work? And how much time is spent doing what we call low-value activities? Because all we want to do is help you up the ante and fill your calendar with high-value activities that will make a difference in both your life and in your client's life. And this is a very limited period of time. Now, if you took these weeks and looked out over the next 90 days, you would realize that over a 3-month period, there are only 60 working days, and there are 12 weekends. It's just shocking. There's just not that much time. And I want to make sure that I've prioritized, organized, and simplified how I'm going to fill those minutes and hours of every day, and then I'm going to really focus intently on that. So in order to do that, I don't think selling is really a problem with selling better. I think it's a problem of prioritizing and clarifying more clearly. I think that's a key issue, that we have to prioritize and clarify how we're going to spend our time, and we have to learn, and it is a learned process, how to focus on what we call high-value activities. So if you're taking notes, I'd like you to write down high-value activities. This is where the difference is between the Tiger Woods of the world and the weekend golfers of the world. This is where the superstars live and the people that just make it through. And if we want to be better, we have to focus on high-value activities. Now, this is a single PDF that is on our Member Tools website. It's just completely free. And Dave, I'm sure that you'll give this out, or we can post it on the Mortgage Coach website. But I highly encourage you to take a sheet of...
If you could plan on providing a link or posting a PDF on the Facebook page, would be great.
I'm glad to do that. But for right now, if people could just take out a sheet of paper and put it into 4 quadrants. I mean, this is something that I'd like you to begin the process of now, just to get the brain started. In the left top quadrant, I'd like you to write down what you love to do at work. In the top right, your strengths. Top left or bottom left, your highest value activities, and the bottom right, how you want to be rewarded. Now, Dave, you've already started us off today, and if you could just restate on high value activities your top 2, just give us those one more time for people to write down. You believe that the highest value activities for a mortgage person in this industry are what?
Well, the 2 for today are getting in enough phone time. So 4 hours of face-to-face, over the phone or in person with prospects or referral partners. So you're spending half your day connecting with people. And then number 2, when you're meeting with a prospect, a borrower, having a really high-value conversation, delivering an edge total cost analysis report. Not just talking with them, not just providing a typical quote, but really delivering some valuable advice. So it's quantity, talk to a lot of folks, and quality, really deliver value and advice when you do that.
Okay. Now, I think in order to get to our highest value activities, we have to think back. When I first got in this business, I did some things, and I did them incredibly well. I was very successful, really, from the very beginning of time, partly because I think I had a high work ethic, but I also think it was because I was so excited. And I think that we lose sight of that as we've been in this business for a little period of time. And so each 90 days, I sit down with my team, and we go back and we ask ourselves, what is it that we love to do at work? Because guess what? We need to do more of those things. We need to prioritize our days so that we're doing what we love. We'll also have more energy, and we'll be more successful if we focus on our strengths. But there is an end result to this. I am not going to work as hard as it takes to be successful in this industry if there aren't some rewards tied to that. And I'm just going to go ahead and take money off the table because that's so obvious. I definitely am competitive in that area, and I believe money follows value, and that's fine. But I've even taken it off for this illustration. So I wanted to give you some examples, some real-life examples. But here are some things that I would write down. What do I love to do at work? Well, I love to talk to clients. And if you're beginning this process on your 4-quadrant piece of paper that you've just written down, please feel free to use any of these or begin to write down some of the things that are important to you. I love to create business plans because I think we can't be successful if we don't have a plan of action that's going to take us where we want to go. I love to meet new people, and I make it a point to find out who are the new people that I want to do business with and that I need to know. I also love to learn, which is part of why I love what Dave does, is that every week he's offering people these calls so that they can learn and grow and become different tomorrow than they are today. But number 5 is really key to me. In this industry, people have problems that I believe I can solve, and I think I can solve them better than a lot of other people. And that's what I heard the passion in Dan's voice, is that he loves to go and just tell his story, because everyone out there at some point is probably going to have a mortgage, and they're going to have issues with that mortgage. Even when they're doing the mortgage, they're going to have issues. And he wants to be that man that's going to stand up and say, let me shoulder beside you and solve that problem with you. But I also love to gather information. I like to listen to the client. I like to become friends with them. I'm also constantly wanting to improve my skill sets in this industry, which makes my job very compelling. I love to be mentored by someone, and I want to be a mentor. So those are some of the things that I love to do at work, and you'll see how they drive into my highest value activities. But what are your strengths? My strengths include enthusiasm. I believe I have a never give up attitude. I couldn't believe it when you showed that boxing photograph a minute ago. I cannot imagine what it would take to become a boxer at that level, but I assure you they don't just box once or twice a week. They don't just show up occasionally. They're there every day, putting on their game face, up in the ante, and that's how I think we have to be in this industry. I also like to love on people. I love to just feel the compassion that's out there. I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of creativity, which is part of what I think it takes to be successful in this industry, is how can you do it differently. I have a great ability to process information, and you have to take a lot in. But you can see several of these things. But number 10 under my strengths is I'm willing to ask people to do business with me. And then how do you want to be rewarded? Because I think you need to be aware of, yes, money's on the list, but I love it when someone says, great job. You took that to the next level. You did a wonderful job in that. I also want free time. I want to be with my family. I love to travel. I like to eat together with my team and with people I care about. Food is, I love great restaurants. I'm learning how to cook. And I also want to go to conferences where I can learn more. So Mortgage Coach, I know you promote a lot of different places where people can learn. Well, how does that tie back? In our industry, I believe that there are just so few things that you have to do to be successful. It's shocking. I think we have to be willing to meet face-to-face with clients. I think we have to be willing to do reviews and have meetings over the telephone. I think we all have to be attending networking opportunities, whether that's through the chamber, but we have to meet people constantly. Number 4, I think we have to ask people to do business with us. And number 5, I think we have to constantly be contacting prospects and referrals. And down at the bottom of that section, I think we have to work from a repeatable plan. Now, I'd like to pause just there, Dave, and let you, did I write this before we even got on the call today? I didn't know what you were going to be talking about. That's what's so shocking. Dave, can I give you a minute just to respond to this and the importance of filling out a sheet like this for yourself?
Well, you know, when I think of the challenges that someone goes through at changing behavior, you know, this usually it has something to do with they've not gotten past this. I think some people just get lucky and they do this intuitively, or doing, you know, when you think of gifted salespeople, it's just easy for them to talk on the phone 4 hours a day, and it's just natural for them to want to provide a total cost analysis. But you know what? If you're one of those folks that you know what to do, but you're not doing it, the chances are this is what's gotten in the way, that you really haven't dug deep inside and really got clear on what you need to do to change. And sometimes, you know, it's changing your love. You like one thing, you don't like another thing. Sometimes you need to change that behavior, you need to change that habit, you need to change that mindset. Sometimes you need to change the job. You know, maybe this isn't, you know, if you have been in this business for 10 years and you're still struggling, and you're still closing 3 loans a month, 1 month and 1 month you're doing 1, and you know what to do, but you're not changing. You know, I hate to, you know, coach people out of the business, but I just want people to be happy. So either change your mindset or change what you need to do to be successful. So at the end of the day, this exercise is just excellent, you know, because this is one thing that I don't think we have done enough intentionally in our coaching. We always just kind of go, this is what you should be doing. Here's the baby steps to do it. Now do it, you know, and why aren't you doing it? You know, you're really getting into the why, and you're really getting into, you know, looking deep inside of people. So I love this exercise, and I hope that everybody on this call, you know, if you're doing really well, I'll bet you going through this exercise will take you to another level. And if you're not doing as well as you want, again, I think this exercise is going to take you to the level you need to be.
And here's why it's important. Thanks, because I want to see why we do this. About 6 years ago, I began to study how the brain functions. And one of the terms that I kept running across was the concept of neuroplasticity. And it simply means that the brain is plastic or changeable. And we have to make sure that we're utilizing our brain in the best way possible. Because here's what I think happens. I'm from Arkansas. I live in the northeast area of Arkansas, right under the boot heel of Missouri. And what I see is, as I drive down the roads near our town, we will often see these paths, and these are called cow paths. So in a pasture, they may have about 100 acres to roam, but when it's time to go home, a cow will always walk the same path home. It's just shocking that you'll see these cow paths, that cows, for some reason in their brain, they go the same path every day. But what's not so shocking is that I see people in sales doing and repeating the same habit over and over again for some unknown reason, even though they're not getting the results that they want. And so as a coach and a consultant, I want to help people break out of these paths and say, try something new. Now, this is a picture of a neuron in your brain. You have about 100 billion neurons. You have as many neurons as there are stars in the sky. But what's so amazing about your neurons is that they can communicate with one another. And here's how it happens. If I were to begin to use Edge, and I'm just amazed at what Mortgage Coach has created. That first time, if you look at this picture on the left of your screen, that first time you used Edge, there's a very weak connection. And so it may seem a little harder or a little more cumbersome. It may take some time to use it. But let's say that you use it 5 times in that first week or 5 times in the first 2 weeks. Can you see that middle picture where you're beginning to create connections of how you can use their tools better and better? But what happens with the brain and why neuroplasticity is so important is that it is a geometric progression. after you've done your first 20, 25 programs, you don't have weak connections anymore. You have very strong connections, and you're able to do things very quickly. Now, why these repeatable habits are so important is that the more opportunities you have to create checklists and software and pieces into your daily routines, the more quickly you'll be able to do them, which gives you more time to focus on either your family or in creating more sales opportunities. So in high-value activities, one of the things that we want to ask you that's kind of one of our coined terms is what are 5 activities that you will focus on before 11 o'clock? Now, I know that you were talking about 4 hours of work. I love that because it fits in. Let's say that you get into the office at 7 or 8 o'clock. You could work for just 4 hours a day and really skunk everybody else in your industry if you would really work those 4 hours a day. But we say, what activities should you focus on before 11 o'clock? What 5 things should you make sure you do before 11 a.m.? Because I can assure you, if you let things go beyond you, your day can get away from you. So as David said, phone time is one of those key things. How many people are you going to call? Focusing on your edge reports. How many edge reports are you going to do every day? Meetings with prospects, warm calling, cold calling, networking, seminars, and referrals. This is not a hard business. It's just a hard business to continue to be diligent in. Now, if I can encourage you to get one thing from this call, it's to create a daily written plan of action for the next 90 days that says, here are the 5 things that I'm going to do every day before 11 o'clock. And that's going to change. We want you to create that the day before you go home. So on a Tuesday afternoon, this afternoon, you would create your 5 before 11 list for tomorrow. And tomorrow, the only thing sitting on your desk would be that 5 before 11 list. And you would come in and be committed to call those people, to set up that pipeline, to send out that edge report, to create the video, whatever it is that's on that 5 before 11 list, and you come in and you do those things before 11 o'clock. 5 before 11, superstars really have a game plan. And the last thing that I'm going to kind of hone in on is that we want to deliver, just as Dave has delivered value, we want to be able to deliver value to all of you that have been with us on this call, is that we've created what we call a daily progress report with contacts. Not only do we put in that top right corner where you can create your 5 before 11 list, but I believe the people that in our industry that talk to the most people every day win bigger every day. So if you look in that left column where it says daily contacts, in the financial services industry, I just want to talk to more people than anybody else in our industry. If most people talk to 8 people a day, I want to talk to 15 people a day. If you could just begin to track how many people you're talking to, this is a sheet that will allow you to do that. Here's where you can get that. We'll post it on the Mortgage Coach tool, but it's at the 7minutelife.com. You subscribe to the free member tools. And one of the things that we have created for people, and this is for anyone, is that they can actually download a 71-page piece that has all of our pieces in it, and it's also got a 1-week version of this completely free. So, there are really no strings attached. You can just download that and use it. I've been at this a long time. I love writing about time strategies. I love creating content and pieces that we believe can help people. But Dave, the bottom line is you just have to do it. You have to prioritize, you have to organize, and you have to simplify what you will choose to do, and then you have to do it day in, day out, day after day after day. I so appreciate what you do for your people, and I'd like to give the remaining time back to you.
Yeah, you've been amazing. Again, it's been a great call. I felt that the setup really led into what you did, and we just started working on that last night. Dan, I think you knocked it out of the park, bringing just from the street execution. Dan, any thoughts that you have before I kind of wrap up the call with some action items?
Kind of going off what Allyson said, one of the frustrating things, you have a lot of people that aren't successful right now is, look up the definition, Einstein's definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If it's not working, change. If that makes sense. So if you're not using Edge, use it.
Right on. And if you haven't read Allyson's book, get it. I posted a link to it on the Mortgage Coach page. If you have already, again, many of you have already been exposed to Allyson, at least like it. Let us know what you think of Allyson's message. Share this with other people in your organization. If you're a manager or a leader, Facebook makes that easy. And again, as a Mortgage Coach community, the more we communicate, we comment, we provide feedback and advice, the better. So again, I provided this link for everybody to get access to the book and have a conversation around Allyson's content. Allyson, thank you so much. Anything else that you want to provide value to our community, please put it in the same place, our Facebook page. And Dan, I'll hope you do the same thing. I might be able to open this for one question. So if anybody does have a question and you raise your hand, I will do my best. I'm clearing all hands right now. So raise your hand. I'm going to try to get at least one or two questions answered. Let me wrap up a few things first. As a reminder, again, folks, it's about doing that total cost with every client every time. It's one of the keys to being a WOW loan officer. Remember what the other 4 keys are. And the key is baby steps. Allyson talked about this, although she has a new baby step, which is really, I don't know what the word is to this, but you got to get clear in your mindset. You got to connect your beliefs with your actions. So, Hamala, I hope you're listening to this call. I think we need to figure out how to systematically help people get clear in the head, and then it's just taking action. That first total cost analysis is the hardest, and when you get to 20, that's the key. That's when you have the skills, you have the beliefs, and it just gets easy. And then when, of course, you're in the hundreds like Mr. Dan Frio, it's just habit. It's now habit, a success habit. So hopefully everybody on this call, your action is you're going to create one edge total cost analysis every single day for the next 20 days. That is what you're going to do. And if you're not doing it, you got to get into your psychology. Why aren't you doing it? It'll make you more successful. I want to remind everybody that we record these calls, so you can log into the community and go to weekly coaching calls, and there's a recording of this. You can share it with your peers, the people that you lead, and you can listen to it again yourself. Again, last comment is just to remind everybody, this is where we communicate, we add value. A lot of the content I bring into these calls I get from the Facebook page, from our Mortgage Coach Facebook page. So it doesn't look like anybody's raised a hand yet. One more check on that. Dan, any parting words as we wrap it up? I'm going to give you a chance and then give Allyson a chance and wrap it up.
No, just I would strongly suggest if you're outside of Illinois, use Edge.
I like that. I like that. And I'm very much looking forward to having you on future calls. So hopefully anytime you have an idea that you want to share with the community, reach out to me. Anytime you have a success story, reach out to me. And if I haven't heard from you within about 3 months, I'll probably be reaching back out to you.
Will do. Thank you again for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here. And Allyson, it's been way too long since you have been in the community. I really enjoyed the message. I think it delivered a lot of value to our community. Any parting thoughts?
Go make 4 hours of calls starting now. It's never too late. He's right. The more activity we have, the more success we'll have.
Right on. So, guys, this is a wrap. I'm going to put up a poll. Let us know what you thought of today's coaching call. I just launched that on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being we knocked it out of the park with value and insight. Let us know how we rank today. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great week. Take care.